we're back. Map to Africa.
Appreciate you giving me the call out, man. Definitely. I haven't been called Uncle Ray in like 8 years. So when you said that took me back home. I like it.
I think the last time we saw each other was you were doing a trip to Thailand and I was in Thailand, and we kind of met in, where was it, in Phuket?
I have no idea. I just remember like randomly that I think social media realized we're in the same place.
Yes.
Linked up, and then you're like, hey, meet me at this mountain or this cliff, and I met you up there, and we sat. I think we had a beer, and we sat with our legs over the cliff, just watching the waves come in,
yes.
and then sunset at the same time.
Yeah, and they actually sold weed from that same bar. Whether we partook in that or not,
it was
I don't know.
Quite good as well.
You can't say that. You're in Dubai. You've got to be careful what you say.
Oh yeah, international law, I guess. No, but it was definitely. I just remember as well. Afterwards, we did like a little windy drive down the mountain on the scooters.
Yeah.
And you had just got a tattoo, I believe. I think that was your bicep one. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I got the Jumblies. It's about these aliens that take kids away that have kind of had a hard upbringing, and I don't know why. It was a poem that my dad used to read to me when I was young, and I got it put on my arm.
Is there something you're not telling us?
No. Like many people that go to Thailand and sort of do a sabbatical there, the foreigners just get tattoos, get a ukulele, and get a scooter. I think those are the three things that any foreigner in Thailand needs to get.
That one comes from Thailand.
You see.
I got it. I don't know if this is PG, but I've got a Thailand tattoo on my ribs over here of a compass. Yeah. So I'm part of that crew.
I told you, that's what happens.
I've taken my ankle bracelet off since then, though, so I'm not, I'm halfway in between.
So, Ray, what do you do? I know we haven't connected in ages. Give us a sort of a rough breakdown. I know you're a man of many talents, obviously very musical, which we'll get into as well, but what do you do full time?
Well, what I get paid for pre-lockdown was I run cocktail bars. So I live in Dubai at the moment. I left South Africa, still plan to come back. I left about 7-8 years ago, started working in bars, and then that all progressed and evolved. And now I run, I'm not sure if you know the Waldorf Astoria.
Yes.
It's a worldwide luxury hotel. So I run the beverage program in the hotel. So that's in-room dining, that's conferences, and we have 3 venues. And then write the cocktail menus, obviously deal with all of that, and just kind of run high-end bars.
Nice. And you're going to go through a cocktail for us, the perfect safari cocktail, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, since it's from home, I'm going to start actually now just to show how easy it is. It's going to be like a vodka cocktail, and then it's going to be with rooibos tea and with nachos.
Oh, lovely.
So over here, they call it Mandarin. I don't know how this will work, but so last time I was home, it's 55 Rand. I got some rooibos tea in the airport. I couldn't give that up. Nice. And then just nachos and syrup. So what we'll do just while we're talking, because there's a little really easy infusion. It takes like 20 to 30 minutes. So I'll do it now, show you what it is, leave it on the side, then we carry on chatting, and then later on we can make the drink.
Perfect.
So no jokes, this is how easy it is. There's a little teacup. One bag of rooibos. I don't know what vodka you use, but we've just got some household Stolichnaya. I'll put about 100 ml in there. I don't know if you can hear the sound.
Sounds delicious. I'm actually going to crack open. It's my wife's birthday tomorrow, so we're celebrating this evening and a prolonged sort of celebration until tomorrow. I've got a couple of bottles of wine that are ready. I must actually send you some. It's delicious. We're starting to work with Upland Organic Wines. We did a podcast with them yesterday, but they export a lot of their wine. But their brandy is, I've never tasted anything like it. I tasted a 20-year-old from from him yesterday, and oh man, I've never been a brandy drinker, but this stuff is incredible. I like my whiskeys, but this is just, I mean, this is next level. I'm going to send you his information,
send me
because they
across the
export as well.
details. Because right now, I mean, South Africa, like from the international market, I mean, it's what I do. And obviously wine is a big part of that. And the whole movement, because everyone's getting over the whole pretentiousness of, sorry if you have French listeners, but you know, all this old wine like France and like all these regulations and rules, and they're really enjoying some new school, how can you say, methods. And everything, a lot of the South African market, especially people like Waterkloof and stuff like that. I mean, if you want me to link you up with them, they're a great brand, and also very biodynamic and very environmentally friendly. And also, South African wine is not pretentious in price overseas, so it really does work.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to show you that. That looks like nothing now, and then later on we'll pick it up and you'll see the change in color.
So you just leave it for 30 minutes and let it.
It's called cold infusion technically, but let's be honest, it's a functioning alcoholic, so keep it simple.
Nice. All right, awesome. So take me out through kind of bedroom busking, because I mean, we've always known that you're musical. You always came with a guitar that seemed to be the sort of second instrument, apart from maybe, you know, a cooler box that we became accustomed to.
Do you remember us watching hockey with the cooler box?
Yeah.
And a pop sack.
Supporting our mates playing hockey, and there was always a guitar, there was a Hubley, and there was a cooler box, and that's kind of how we traveled. But the guitar was always sort of a nice way to round off the day. Every evening we'd finish up with a couple of songs from you, and now you started doing that online.
It's always been something I enjoyed. Like starting off in Durban back in the day, I always played in the bedroom, and I was always like what they call like a bedroom rock star, you know, where you like what you do, but you never show it to anyone else. And then I had a mate, and he took me into my first ever open mic. And as I finished, I was shaky and nervous as hell. And the organizer said, he's like, someone really wants to meet you. I think you should really go say hello. So I get to the bar, and this old man says to me, do you like tequila? And I was like, does a cow moo? And he's like, we're going to be good friends. Buys me 2 tequilas. And that person at the bar was Steve Fatah, rest in peace. So Steve Fatah from the Flames. And he said to me, he's like, I'm never going to pay you, but you'll get free tequila. He's like, do you want to just come open and play open mics and just jam some gigs with me? So we did that for a couple of years before I moved to Cape Town. Actually, what happened, we played in Cape Town as well when I was there with you. So that's how it all evolved. I never did any money with it. It was always just a passion project. And I think that's what makes it so real, is it's not about any contracts or anything. It's just me jamming. And then in Dubai, everything got busy all the time. Like I was saying just before we started, I'd go for months without playing. When quarantine happened, we started, they just reached out to me with the Bartenders Club. We've got like Dubai Bartenders Club, and they were like, let's do something fun. Let's just do a talent show, put everything together, and then just see where it goes. So it was literally a little thing on Zoom. And then I had some international people watching, and I just got some really good feedback. And then my girlfriend just mentioned, she's like, why don't you just start a Instagram page, you know, you enjoy it, and just put it out there. And then it seems to be working, so keeping it going, it makes me smile. So that's all that counts, really. Yeah.
And, you know, I was saying before we kind of started recording that this podcast is an incredible opportunity for me to just reach out to mates that I haven't spoken to for 10, 15 years, you know, 8 years, 6 years, whatever. You know, pursuing that passion for you as music, for me, has always been connecting with people. I love connecting with people in the outdoors and sort of on hikes and you know, bike rides and scooter trips and traveling. And with all of that sort of closed up, and with the sort of pandemic that the world's going through at the moment, having mediums like this to reach out and pursue your passions and interests, if anything, just to connect with people or passions that you enjoy has been incredible. So that's awesome. And it feels like I've gotten to know you a little bit better over the past couple of months. Just before we met now on this show, I was just sitting going through your videos and listening to you, and the Eagle Eye Cherry cover that you did, it took me back to like Matric with my mates. That was our like Matric Vax song, and and that's, I mean, it's a massive passion for you, but it allows people listening to sort of connect with their passions and old friends and songs, and it's been incredible to see. So big ups. I mean, I've really enjoyed what you've been putting out.
Cheers. And I think you hit a very nice spot there. Like I mean, I've always known you as someone that's, we played like miniature golf because it was raining. So we played in the house, and you've always had that like activity behind, like you say, to bring people together. And this is just my translation of it. So like what you said now, that song when I played it this time was definitely not, I didn't have your Matric vacation in mind at all. But the fact that someone else can translate it like that, and like it can mean something to them that I could never do on purpose. I think that's the beauty of it, and that's what makes me carry on.
Yeah, and that connection with music so special. I mean, I know a lot of people are passionate and enjoy music, but my old man, I mean, I've been carrying his band equipment since I could pick up anything. Growing up, I'd fall asleep against the speakers, and then when he's done at 2:00 in the morning, help him pack his van up and then head back home. And that's how I kind of grew up. So, everything that you do, I was speaking to a friend yesterday, and I was actually, I don't know what was happening around the dinner table. We were cooking, and they were saying something around like whenever they're in a conversation and they'll try and associate whatever the conversation is to other stories and bring those into conversation. And my brain doesn't kind of work like that. It's always been like, I'll hear someone talk about something and I'll try and associate that to a song. And it's kind of how I've gotten to reconnect with you, is even though we don't chat, kind of, sitting down and putting your music in the background and kind of just going from video to video and listening to what you're doing and seeing the passion translate onto social media has been incredible.
Well, that's just a nice thing to say, man. Like, I really appreciate that. Because when you, I don't know, don't take this wrong way, that's not the intention, but to hear it from someone else is always a good thing, man. And that's, but it's funny that you say that, because my grandfather, he used to play in a marching band, and he used to jam the snare drum. And he always said, if you could teach math in song, everyone would get A's. Oh, yeah. And that kind of goes back to like how the brain works and how you tick over and how your memory attaches to these things. Like you said, a song can play and it just takes you back to, like I heard Linkin Park the other day, and it just took me back to, I mean, like jumping off as like a 12-year-old or something, like at a house party and just trying to be the cool guy. Is that a Hardy door in the background? I think I can hear one.
I brought it in especially for you to connect with South Africa.
Oh man, I remember I took this is totally off topic, but one of my best friends from here, he's from Scotland, and we went home to South Africa to visit family. And there was a Hardy door outside, and we were a little bit hungover. We got up to some shenanigans the night before, and he just woke up in a sweat, and he's like, man, someone's getting murdered next door, like what is going on? And I just let him freak out, because I'm not going to correct that kind of madness, So I'm sitting in the corner laughing my ass off, and it's, that's his introduction to Hardy doors.
Brilliant. Yeah, I was speaking to Lorato, also a school friend of mine, again on the podcast. My wife's getting annoyed with me because every conversation I have, I was like, I was actually chatting to Raven the other day, and we were saying, and she's like, stop it now, I know you were speaking to people, stop referencing your conversations. But I was chatting to her, and I was saying she's traveled a lot with, she was the media manager for the Proteas for 10 years, and she traveled with the team a lot, and she was saying that you get so connected to the destinations that you're traveling in, and it got me thinking, so living in an area versus traveling is two very different things, and how small things like listening to or hearing a Hardy dog brings you back to home, and it's a longing for home, which you can only really experience when you live in another country. And you've been in Dubai now 8 years.
Yeah, well, coming up on 8 years. And you're 100% correct with what you said. Like, I mean, if we can go this far, you know, like a lot of people always say, if you move away, then you don't care about your country and stuff like that. And I just want to put it out there that that's a bunch of balls. Like, it's not true at all, because like I appreciate South Africa so much more now, just because of having the experience of traveling. You know what I mean? Like, it's very easy to stay in the same environment and have an opinion, but it's very hard to experience a lot and then create a factual opinion from there. You know what I mean? And small things like the Transkei, like eating fish in the Transkei, or the quality of meat, or the wine, or all these kind of things that you take for granted when you're seeing the same thing all the time. And then you have an experience like Thailand, Bali, or, you know, I've been fortunate to travel a couple of places, and it just is like, yeah, that's cool, but we do it better, you know, like, and you can't read that on Google and say that it's true. You have to try it yourself.
Yeah.
So that's been a big thing for me.
Yeah, we are truly blessed to be in this, you know, in South Africa, and be so close to some spectacular countries that neighbor us. It's one of the big things that I'm super excited about starting this company is I want to do the podcast a little bit differently, where I want to actually travel from destination to destination and interview locals and interview people in those areas, and get the soul of a town. And get the nuances behind what makes that town special. You know, there's a lot of content out there and photographs of towns and short little documentaries on the well-known areas, and Cape Town's all over the place. But you know, there's some of these little Karoo towns and towns sort of in the Transkei that are so special. In December we went to Nkabara Lodge. It's a fishing lodge about I think an hour and a half, 2 hours from Hole in the Wall. And you know, we spent 2 weeks just fishing, practically on the beach every day. It's pet friendly, so we took the poodles with. We traveled everywhere with them. And
you got poodles?
Yeah, man, I've got a big giant or standard poodle, but she's cross Bouvier, so she's a nice big girl. She runs with my wife, and then I've got a little toy poodle. His name's Chewy. So we named them Leia and Chewy, and they go everywhere with us.
That's amazing.
We travel. They've done 4 road trips down the garden route from here to Zanin already with us. So they're well-traveled poodles. We haven't taken them internationally yet, but I'm waiting for that first international trip to come and visit Dubai with 2 poodles.
Oh, it's coming, man. You know, you just let me know when you're around.
Nice.
But Jake, Karen, you're saying you're fishing for 2 weeks?
Yeah, and you know, the lodge, it's a new sort of they've only been open for about 2-3 years, but that experience, just sort of in the bush for 2 weeks. There's solar power, so there's a bit of electricity at night, but you know, we only took enough meat for 5 or 6 days, and the rest of the time I'm gonna catch fish. And I've never done, like, I've done deep sea fishing with my old man. We used to go out in Mozambique, and it's completely different from rock and surf and fishing in the river.
Yeah.
And after day 4, I hadn't gotten the hang of it yet, so we were struggling. Day 5 was our last day.
So you lost a bit of weight on that trip, exactly.
Yeah, I managed to catch some fish, but nothing massive. We caught a ton of sand shark, but you know, that's obviously just catch and release, and you don't eat sand shark. And then we caught some small fish, but enough for us, but not quite what I wanted. But it was a special experience, and you know, kind of delving into filming and podcasting and that kind of, it's something completely new, but it's super exciting because I want to start documenting these experiences and you know, and seeing the people behind those experiences. That's going to be something quite important for me. Is understanding why people are in the locations that they are, and why they're passionate about South Africa and Africa, and what makes this place special. Yeah, so it's exciting.
It's always interesting. it's always interesting when you find out why people do things. Like during this quarantine, I did a little psychology, like intro into psychology online course. So it's like a 6-week with Yale University, and it's very interesting to figure out why people react a certain way, why they talk a certain way, and it's all again down to experience. It's like the experience. Like some people are perfectly happy with the same routine from morning to day for the rest of their life. And if that's what you're honestly happy about, do it. You know, and if you want to chase, and if you want to, I don't know, experience something different, do it. No one's stopping you. You can do whatever you want, man. But going back to experiences in the trance guy, me and a good friend of mine, Danny, he got a car. He got a car, you know, during matric and all that kind of stuff. So we always used to disappear down to the trans car, and it was literally like finish school on Friday, you know, bags packed, and just disappear. No phone signal, no nothing, and then just come back like 2 days later, being like, "Hey, mom, I'm still alive," and then go back to school, you know. And we had some crazy things like Port St. John's. We ended up at one time, and we got so lost on the way down there, and then. He was a surfer, and I've always been into photography and stuff like that. So I used to take photos, you know, and make sure we had enough cold beer and stuff like that and all that.
The important jobs.
And then we got that, right? And then we got down to this place. The surf was horrendous, and we were just stuck in the backpack thing. And again, like we got like a big fluffy dog that was part of the camp. And then the surf instructor was a local boy. And he was also just looking at the waves, realizing it was average, realizing he's got no work, so he was chilling. So we gave him a couple of beers, we got to know him. Next thing, he played in a little local reggae band. So they were playing at 7 o'clock that night. So we went there, we watched the local guys jam, and then after that, jammed with them as well. And then just like, and there's no way, I don't remember the guy's name, there's no way I'm in contact with him, but as an experience, it was really cool. Out of nothing. To just have an unforgettable night. So it was really, you know.
Yeah. How much is being able to play music open up opportunities to meet unique people like that? That, I mean, I'm sure you've had it 100 times, just sitting on the beach somewhere or jamming, and someone will come up and sit around and start listening, and that opens up sort of conversations, and it must happen quite a bit, because it's annoying how you know, I played ukulele again. Tried to play ukulele for about a year before you came, and I was like, okay, I can play Over the Rainbow now. I'm gonna take my ukulele with. I'm gonna sit down with Uncle Ray, and I'm gonna show him. I get there, I play Over the Rainbow, and you whip out your ukulele, having never touched a thing before, and just jam and put in all this intricacy behind it. And like, I'm like, Ray, wait, I'm trying to count 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's frustrating.
I remember that. I remember that. Good times. Back to the question, like being very fortunate, it opens up a whole different chat. I got a couple of examples. When I moved to Cape Town, actually when I was hanging out with you guys and Bronny or whatever, me and a guy took 2 guitars, an egg shake, and a didgeridoo up Signal Hill. And we just started playing on this log, you know, and then like 2 people came, they're like, "Do you mind if we chill with you?" And at the end of it, we had like 15 people around us, and none of it was scripted, none of it was thing, and we all just became mates. And it wasn't even about conversation, it was just about being in each other's space and presence. And then I mean, you know, in Signal Hill, when it's just got that blanket of clouds coming over and you can't see anything, just the sun on top and like the blanket of clouds, and we just jammed against sunset, and it was perfect, you know. And then another time it happened, I went to Bali, and then we were in the mainland, and spoke to a couple of people on bars, and they're like, "Yeah, you really need to get to the Gili Islands, that's where all the fun happens." So we're like, all right, that makes sense, but how do I get there? And it's like, well, that's up to you, you know, just make sure you get there. So we jamming, we chilling, we having a couple of beers, a couple of bintangs, and then we down the road, there's guys playing guitar in a little room. So I've got a bit of liquid confidence coming up, so I'm just like, hey, do you mind, you know, if I jam with you? Sitting on the side of the street, man, like stray dogs everywhere, just jamming, no singing, no words, nothing. Next thing, he owned a van, and they were leaving to Gili Islands the next day. So we ended up hopping on that van for free became friends with the guys, and we're in Gili Island the next day, and we just had a great holiday. So
yeah,
that's my story.
And you know, speaking of sort of music and jamming and opening up conversations and whatnot, could you? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but could you play something for us? Are you set up to do something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I could. I've got the loop pedal. I knew you were going to ask something like this, so I've got the loop pedal set up.
Nice.
It's all connected. I don't know. I have no idea how it will sound.
Water dragon spitting fireball underneath perfect sky somewhere very far away. Fools playing in the paradise, and all we can do is try to find our way back one of these days. I had a dream of falling stars and ocean waves were rolling me. Caught up it seems I'm gonna get wet until I'm only here up in this sea. Like water left on waves drift away. Like water left on waves drift away. Strange people walking around missing everything that we can see. That will never change. Not perfect, but I feel okay. And who's waste time on wishing things away? Dreaming of better days. Caught underneath a mountain of weed, and hoping I'll see you when you go. I'm rolling away, don't wanna be late. On my way home.
Beautiful. I mean, again, I'm not musical, so I don't know how your brain works but how you've got the loop pedal.
Yeah.
What are you thinking because I can't play music and sing at the same time, but now you're doing 3 or 4 different things. You've got 3 or 4 different tracks that you're having to sync, and you obviously practiced that beforehand, but this is just hours and hours and hours and hours since you were how old that you've kind of been able to put this stuff together?
I mean, I was a very shy kid in high school. And then like everyone started going out and partying properly at like 12, 13. And then I decided to learn how to play guitar. And then from there, I got a little bit more confident with everything. And then, so yeah, about 12, 13, I'm 28 now. So yeah, 15 years, I guess. But
Nice.
I didn't have a loop pedal in the beginning. That
Sure.
only came a little bit later.
And it's interesting for me because it's obviously a passion of yours, but you invest quite a bit of time into that passion. How do you balance that? Because for me, I go into one thing and that's my focus. You know, I'm hardly ever an expert or really good at something, but if I like the Ironman last year, we decided, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to start training for it, and we trained 3 sessions a day. You know, you're investing 6 hours a day into just training. You're balancing work and personal life and all of that jazz. But you've got a goal. You reach that goal, and then you kind of tick off, and then you pursue something else. But the other things fall by the wayside a little bit. But for you, this has been a 13, 15-year passion. How do you balance that sort of drive to only kind of push and pursue that along with a career?
I I don't think it needs much explanation besides the fact that it's my escape. So it's the only thing that I can truly switch off on. It's the only reason. Like I do a lot of everything's interlinked with phones and laptops and working in bars and restaurants. It never really switches off. You know, it's like always on. And it's the only time, even before work, when it was like personal stuff going on, was the only time where everything else disappeared. And it was just like me and something else. So it's like everyone talks about yoga and meditation and all that. I believe in it firmly, but this is my version. So I don't think it's about balance. I think it's about release, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And having that actual release to go to, because it's difficult. For a long time, my release was food, and it was difficult. I got
Start
deep.
resting the beer on it.
Yeah. I mean, 126 kilos was the heaviest I was at.
Wow.
It got bad I mean, when you saw me in Thailand, I must have been about 98, almost 100 kilos.
Yeah.
I'm 82 now. Yeah, 82 kilos. So
I'm still skinny, so good on you, man.
It's just it's about getting that balance and that passion for something that's healthy as well. You know,
yeah.
And you've got to watch yourself.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, I don't know, everyone's trying to define everything at the moment, but you cracked it on the head. It's just about balance, whether it is guitar for an hour, whether it is cooking for an hour, whether it is, I mean, when we had the ESCOM break, I went for a swim or something. Like just, I mean, you don't have to do everything for 10 hours at a time. You know, you've got, and yeah, and honestly, the exact balance, I was watching like Gary Vee and all that stuff. And it's like people are talking about, like, people always forget to add in sleep to their routine, you know, and I started on not sleeping all day, but, you know, like adding that balance in so that when I do want to hit everything as hard as I can, I'm rested and I'm ready to go. So it's all about balance, no matter what you're doing. Even when you make a cocktail, about balance.
Oh, I see how you segued into your cocktail. So it's the vodka and the rooibos has been going for almost 3 hours now. A little bit more than 30 minutes.
I took it out.
Oh, did you? Okay, all right.
Look at that color there.
Beautiful, and that's cold infused rooibos and vodka.
Standard, and I actually use I put the tea bag in hot water just in case we want to make the drink a little bit longer.
Okay.
So it's actually got cold tea in the background as well.
Lovely.
I'll show you later.
Awesome.
Unless we get interrupted by
Another break.
I don't know, Wi-Fi or something. Godzilla.
Yeah. And I wanted to touch on, you mentioned during the break you went for a swim, which is not something I traditionally remember you kind of pursuing, was any form of physical activity apart from dancing. I do remember going out on long streets far too many times and being embarrassed by
squeaking tacky.
yeah, squeaking tacky, because I would just stand in the corner and nod my head in the worst sort of form. And you actually enjoy and pursue dancing as a passion. I remember that profusely. I mean,
I'm surprised you remember that, because I almost forgot about all that. Like over here, it's a little bit different. No way, man. Like here it's very like pop culture takes over. You know, so like music is one way. There's no underground scene. And I mean, if you do remember clearly, it was never dancing to impress. It was just dancing to like let go.
yeah.
You know, and like the only time I've done it here is I've had a couple of Sapphirs that have come across and met up with me, and then we've just gone to like the dirtiest club you can find in Dubai, and we've just opened up, man. I've got some crazy stories to tell you offline, bro. But yeah, dancing was I wouldn't call myself no, I don't think I was good at dancing. I just was good at not giving up. Beep.
But where is that that exercise element to life come from, or was that always something that you enjoyed?
I really enjoy sport. I mean, in school I played basketball and I ended up playing tennis and all that kind of stuff. Then I got really lost when I came over here, because it was all just work, sleep, wake up, work, sleep, and I got mad out of all of that routine. And I really enjoy playing soccer, actually, for fun, not for competitive. And then I think it's just maturity, man. I'm gonna claim that I might be slightly more mature than I used to be, and it was just about finding the balance, and it was about like again, also, I mean, I'm not comparing to any industry, just stating what I know from personal experience. Like when you work in bars and restaurants, it never stops. It always involves booze. When you are out with these kind of people, you're in the scene where you really go sometimes too far. And there was a big wake up call in the industry worldwide about like balance, like we've just spoken about. And like, yeah, I mean, have a good time, but twice a week go for a run or something, it's not going to kill you. It's probably. So I wouldn't say that I'm into fitness, because I lose weight really quickly. But I am like doing things like going for a swim or just small things.
Yeah, it's important. I enjoy cycling, and
Yeah, you
when I
did pretty good at that.
well, I enjoy it. My wife's an athlete. I mean, she's a strong runner, and she's competed competitively in long distance running and that kind of stuff. But so I just kind of try and tag along when I can. But I've recently started getting into
just chase the wife, like I'm gonna
yeah.
get you.
But I've gotten into jiu-jitsu, which has been great fun. It's quite,
that's cool.
yeah, it's been incredible, because you get into the gym and it's a new kind of skill that you're learning, and you realize that that old 55-year-old guy that wears glasses could roll with you and strangle you to death in 2 seconds, and he's half your size. It's incredibly cool to see and to experience that, the skill, and it's kind of like playing chess with your life. And if in the beginning, I just, it's like with anything that I learned, because I was always quite small, compared to everyone else on the rugby field or wherever. I always try to use brute strength to get through it. And jiu-jitsu's been
technique, yo.
It's all about technique. You've got to apply technique, otherwise you are dead in the water. And it's been incredible to see like how you can learn from the first time I went to the gym. I rolled with you roll with a whole group, and my first sparring partner. So the first thing that you learn up front and personal was with a girl that weighed probably 55 kilos, tiny. And I rolled with her, and she strangled me within 5 seconds, 10 seconds. She had me in a and it's incredible to see like how technique and skill.
I wish you had some of that video lined up. I'd love to watch some of that.
Definitely not
But do you
releasing
watch?
any of
Do,
that. But
do you watch like? I'm guessing you follow up on Joe Rogan and stuff like that as well. Then.
yes, yeah. I actually
Yeah.
tried jiu-jitsu because of that.
Real. Okay, sick.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I love his podcast. Obviously, like millions of people do. But so like the way he breaks down UFC, because I'm not a fight. You've known me for how long? Like I try to be the most peaceful person in the room.
Yeah.
I can get a little bit edgy sometimes, but not in like a, like alpha male
Confrontational, physical way. Yeah.
No, and I mean, I can spin a couple of words around people's heads, but I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? And then I really enjoyed how he broke down UFC and stuff like that, because it was all about the technique. There's a video I'm guessing maybe you've watched it, about him doing, I think it was a backwards roundhouse or something onto a bag and hitting it so hard, like probably it sounded like a gunshot, like the way it was just.
Yeah.
And it was all about, and he did it over and over. It's like Michael Jordan on a free throw. It was just that routine, that over and over, and getting it spot on till no one can fuck with you. Like it's very good to watch that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he was a competitive taekwondo. I think he went to nationals for taekwondo and whatnot, and grew up fighting, but also from an escape point. I think that I can't speak for him, and I think millions will have heard this and him saying that before. But also just being like terrified of like big guys picking on you, and kind of finding an escape for that. And it's one of the terrible things about lockdown has been, amongst obviously economic turmoil and job loss and just devastation of the economy, is also the human element that's flying out of the window. I've lost so much contact with friends, and it's affected me. I mean, for the first time in my life, I'm going to see a psychiatrist and like having to talk about my feelings, because I don't have someone to sit with and actually, just get things off your chest. And it's so important. And
100%.
jiu-jitsu is like that. I mean, you'd go and you'd roll with someone for, the class would be an hour and a half. But, while you're rolling with someone, you kind of, you're trying to practice a move, and you're talking someone through the move, and then they try and strangle you. You try and strangle them, put them in an armbar, put them in a triangle, do whatever you need to do, and you practice and practice and practice. But it's human touch and human interaction that, if you don't have that, I think we're as a species, we have to have it, and it's different. We do crave it, and not having that, especially now during the lockdown, has been so difficult for, and I can imagine for so many people. And it'll be interesting to see, like, kids that are born now and after this, what their development is going to be like, because everything as we know it is going to change. And I'm terrified of what's what the future looks like post COVID, because it doesn't seem to be going away. Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I was getting fed up with the world. like for real, like everyone, I feel like we're taking advantage of everything, like when it first happened, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, Mitch, which I think you've met maybe once or twice. He's living in Cape Town. He's actually very good friends with Zach as well.
Oh, nice.
And and we were just saying, like, Mother Nature has been warning us for so long. And then we've just been ignoring, being like, all right, I know you're there. I know this is bad. I'm going to carry on. And I think at one point, Mother Nature was just like, you know what? Deal with this, like, and then so the reason, I think back what we spoke about earlier was just like, we can either take this in and complain that things are going to be different, or we can diversify and adjust and evolve. And I think that, like, for example, I've had some people I know that have had kids and stuff, and like the first thing they're going to say is that, like, people are going to teach COVID in school, like in history, they're going to learn about COVID. And then we're going to be that generation that comes out of it. And then the kids are going to be that generation that were born just during. So it is that old versus new. And I think, like everything, we can either adjust and become better, or we can just keep on messing up things and hopefully get to Mars or something, like, and restart. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I know it sounds so cynical, but I promise you, I'm a happy guy in general.
No, and it's been interesting because you've got to really try and I've always been someone that's been scared to I'll try something new, and then I'll open up a business, or I'll do some sort of small something to generate an income, and then I'll get a full-time job, and I'll go back to the full-time job, because that's kind of, my mom had a full-time job, my dad had a full-time job. That's kind of what you know to be what you need to do. And it's the first time I've ever, for 3 or 4 months, not had another option. And it's been interesting to see. My wife's a dietitian, and she sees clients online, but because I've lost my job, there's no money coming in, so we've had to, and I use this phrase very loosely because but we've had to try and hustle to try and get through the last 3 or 4 months to make sure the medical aid's been, and I was for 2 or 3 weeks, I was up in the mountains building a hut for the scouts. And I've helped out my dad renovated houses growing up, and so I'm semi handy or whatnot, but it was the first time that I've actually built something myself. Like, there was nothing there before. You dig 6 holes, you plant poles, you put down a platform, you get the walls up, you erect the roof, you whack everything up, and you build something. And it was the first time I've actually, it's super satisfying. But
mine would come out like that, just to let you know. It'll be like architectural breakdown. Carry on.
No, you say that, the bloody thing, we put it up, and a week later there was a storm and the thing blew over.
Didn't you learn about right angles in school, Peter? What's going on there?
I'm sorry, I was soul destroying. So I went back, and I spent a week or 2 weeks putting it back up again. And we had to rebuild the roof structure. And the thing, I don't want to make excuses, but it had been flown up by an RX helicopter and dropped off there and left for about 6 months, just in the rain and stuff. So some of the support pillars had not rotted, but the wood was, I think, compromised. So we replaced all the side walls and the roof structure, and we've had 2 big storms now, and it's still standing. So thumbs up for that.
All right, well, congrats on you, then. Mate, I sometimes change light bulbs, and that's about it. Like, I've always been straight up with that. I'm like, I'm quite a romantic guy. I can cook like something else. I'll make you cocktails, but like that handiwork stuff, nah. We can get someone to do that.
It takes a village, right? You need everything. And then, I think that it's important now during these times to like try different things and diversify. And start a podcast, start posting information about what you do, and creating content, because right now there's like a stark difference. If you look back 5 months ago, 6 months ago, at the content being put out versus now, it's the first time that you've actually seen like a more personalized touch from big companies that are actually trying to sell to people, as opposed to just like, this is our brand, we're going to stick to this brand. And it's been cool to see like big companies actually having to step back, realign, kind of targeting and reassess and target people directly and become very personal. It's been interesting to see.
I can completely jump onto that, and if you don't mind, just a little shout out. Like, I work for Waldorf, and then we work for, obviously, we are owned by Hilton worldwide. So we are a worldwide company, over 100 years old, biggest hotel company chain in the entire world. Like, everything is corporate, everything is huge. Like, this is why I took the job, was to learn. And then when it came down to everything going on now, they did exactly that. We started these like online things, and it became about the person. So like, I did 3 cocktails from my home bar, and one of the chefs cooked from, but I think we did 4 chefs during quarantine. It might be 3 or 4, and they cooked from their house, and at the same time the little kid ran through, and the amount of traction we got on that, just from being able to personalize. And then at the end we did like 5 questions or something. So like for the week edging up to it, they would ask us 5 questions. They would have one of those things where it says, what would you like to ask Raven, Luigi, John, whatever it was. And then they would have that at the end. And we made sure we kept a half an hour because you don't want to bore the people too long. But it was, going back to your point, exactly what they did. The first thing they said was like quarantine, like everyone's a bit down, like people are unsure what's going to come, what's going to go. And then they just decided to be humans again, no robots. And I was like, well, fair play, and I fitted into that. I really enjoyed it. I've been fortunate to, like, this has come up and done some things with some whiskey brands, and it's a cool little project to be a part of. I mean, it's exciting.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting to see. And working in sales, I think you try and take a personalized kind of sales approach, where you try and aim your resources to engage with the person on a one-on-one level, to understand what they want, and to try and sort of make sure that what you're offering ticks those boxes, or approaches that person's needs. But you can see it start coming through now real time, where companies have actually taken a step back and realized, look, we have time right now. There's no operations happening. We've got the resources and manpower to try and figure out what our clients actually want. And it's super interesting to see how companies have diversified and started taking a more personalized approach to, I mean, I'm in the safari industry, and, we do travel options in South Africa and neighboring countries in East Africa and whatnot. And you can start seeing all the local lodges and international lodges starting to put out safari experiences, getting a better understanding of the guides. The guides get to share a bit of their life and get to interact with their audience, albeit online, but you actually get to experience that in a virtual sort of setting, but you get a human element to the experience. And it's been super, super interesting to see.
That's exactly what I wanted to emphasize what you said. I mean, you were talking about human experience, then you were saying like how everything's become virtual, but we do have the ability to add a personal touch. Like, I work in bars, and I don't know about the safari industry, and I don't know about tours and all that, but I know how to feel good. Like, we've got a saying in our industry, and it's just like, people forget what you say or what you sell, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And that's how like, I can show you a drink and you can make the same drink, but if your jokes are better than mine, I bet you'll sell more drinks than I do. And it's the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like it's, and that is something I've firmly believed in for a long time. And now we're almost forced to focus on that human element. We're almost forced to stop being pretentious, stop trying to, I mean, I'm in Dubai, and they're spending like millions on a venue to make it look nice. And then all the staff look sad, and you're just like, well, I don't want to come to this beautiful place to see sad people, because I'm trying to feel good,
Sure.
And going back to the virtual experiences, I mean, we've seen a lot of you've got whiskey tastings online, you've got people doing wine stuff, man. Some of the sommeliers have jumped on this, and they're doing a fantastic job of just chilling, opening up a bottle of wine, talking about the wine, to themselves, to a live audience. Would you like some questions on like the live feed? And they're smashing it, because it's literally like, you've got him or her in your living room now talking about it. Like, I did this really cool, sorry to float the boat, but did this cocktail class. And I knew someone in Cape Town. They became very good friends. I moved to Dubai. A couple of years later, him and his girlfriend moved to Dubai. They got married, and then they moved to Kenya now, and they're from Zimbabwe. And we've just been like, we don't chat every day, but when we do, it's a proper chat. And then I started launching this like online cocktail class. So you message me, you say, I have these alcohols, these fruits, and these juices. What can I make? And then I send you back, we can make these 4 drinks. If you're up for it, we do 3 or 4, whatever you want. And then instead of telling you to buy something, I just may help you use what you have in your house already to make a couple drinks. And we do it like this on Zoom,
Nice.
So like, And then they had a baby shower, and she was just like, hey, just had a baby girl. This is what I've got. Can we make some pink drinks? And like 3 hours later, I was like, yeah, cool. Jumped on there for like half an hour. They're in Kenya. You know, they've got
Very
like
cool.
a little kid running havoc, and they've got like, I think it was like 8 moms that just wanted to make like, she hadn't drunk in 9 months because she was having a baby. So she was like, all right, let's get some pink bubbles going on. Yeah. And I mean, it was just really cool that I would never be able to give that to someone if we hadn't gone through this.
Sure.
You know, and they were then, yeah.
That's incredible. And is it something that you kind of like offering? I mean, can people hit you up on Instagram and say, hey, Uncle Ray, we're looking for we've got X, Y, and Z in the kitchen.
100%.
Nice. So they just reach out to you
So,
on how?
yeah, so there's 2 ways. I mean, I'm more Facebook, Instagram, and email. I'm not on Twitter and TikTok annoys me. So literally my name, Raven Rudolph, RavenRudolph.
Awesome.
Probably there's only 3 Ravens Rudolphs on Facebook and 1 on Instagram. So you can find me there. Just send me a direct message or whatever, and let's arrange something. And yeah, and then that at gmail.com is that.
And is it so? Anyone only listening to this, if you go Raven Rudolph and you look at if there's 3, the one with a really windy twirly moustache in every photo, that'll be Uncle
The
Ray.
ugly looking one. That's me.
All right. So I mean, that's a nice segue into the cocktail. I don't know if you want to take us into the Rooibos and Nachi cocktail.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, I've got some ice in the fridge, which I'll bring across, and then
Awesome.
I can show you. I'll just angle it down. I've never made a cocktail sitting down, so this could be quite interesting. Just give me 3 seconds. I'll be back.
Perfect.
All right.
Alrighty.
So, yeah, I think the best way to do it is, first of all, understanding that like everyone puts this big. I mean, I'm killing my own industry here, but everyone puts this big like, oh, you have to study for this and that. But the thing I've tried to focus on a lot is like, if you at home when you pour like a brandy or wine or whatever, like you can make a couple of cocktails and you don't have to go so far. So just understand that this is like a cocktail at home. Like it's something anyone can do. You can do on a tour in the bush, just in a different glass if you want. Like it's about keeping it simple and having some fun with it at the same time.
Lovely.
So I'm just gonna angle this down, I think. Does that work? You can see the chopping board?
Yeah.
Boom. All right. So as we said later, we've got this is just the vodka that we put the rooibos tea in. And then I got some extra rooibos tea just in case. And then I don't know if you can see that, but it's just honey. Just any honey. You can use maple syrup as well. It's pretty cool.
Lovely.
And sorry, I just need to get the lime and the nachi. The ESCOM ruined the organization.
Yeah. If you're just dialing in for the cocktail session, we apologize. We had load shedding a couple of hours ago, so this podcast is in 2 segments. I'm also wearing a different jacket because the heating in the house went down when the power went off. So it is the same day recording, but in 2 segments. So Uncle Ray's infused the rooibos and vodka already, and he's got some honey and limes, it looks like.
And then I'm just I know I've already peeled it because I thought we were going to do it earlier, but it's just a nachi. It's pretty funny because I say nachi here and no one knows what I'm talking about. So it's bliss, and because they call it Mandarin or something boring like that. Cool. And then there's just ice in that one, which I'll keep on the side. And then, yeah. So what we're going to do, first of all, I'm going to do some lime. So just cut it in half. And that's another thing about like what we're doing here is it's not about precise measurements. It's about taste. So if you like something and I don't like it, or you like something more, add some more. Like don't be like, oh, it's not in the measurement. I don't know if you can see this, just lime squeezer.
Yeah, and you keep the alcohol for the end, right, so that it doesn't evaporate, or I'm sure you'll get through that as well.
Yeah, we always, as a common practice in bars, we only keep alcohol until the end so that you can save money. So if you make a mistake, you don't waste the most important ingredient. That's the only reason.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So there's just a bit of lime juice inside, and then I'm gonna take, and again, as I say, please keep in mind it's all home stuff. So you can see that, just what, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of nachi. Drop them inside, and you can use your knife to kind of open them up. Another great tool is a wooden spoon. Wooden spoon is like kitchen's best tool when it can do anything.
And you can purchase wooden spoons quite readily in Dubai?
Oh yeah, we've got, like, you can get them from the expensive places, or you just grab them from like you'd always, we call it Habibi business here, where you've got like a little somebody around the side that does the special for you.
Like a Thai 7-Eleven or a spaza shop or something.
Yeah, exactly. Even China Mall or something like that. And then, so when it regards to, as I say, this is honey, but it works very good with syrup as well. I'm going to do 2 spoons of that because I like it sweet. However, some humans, they don't, which is also perfectly fine. Just less.
I must just add some dietary advice. My wife always gives me nonsense if I use honey in anything. 1 teaspoon of honey is equal to 1 fruit. So if your daily allowance is 2 or 3 pieces of fruit, or actual whole, like a banana, 1 teaspoon of honey.
Yeah.
So that's 2 bananas in there. So what's
You
your
know what's
calorie
really good
intake?
is like organic agave. Organic agave. It's the same kind of flavor wise, but when it comes to, how can you say, looking good, I guess, or what, if you're following something, you can find other sweeteners. Even, stevia?
Yes.
Yeah, stevia is that natural sweetener as well. You can use that.
And
And it
xylitol,
will,
I'm sure, as
more,
well.
yeah, it's more just to balance the fact that this is there.
Yes.
That's all. So it's not gonna control the whole flavor. And the more natural juices and sugars you get from the nachi or from rooibos or using tea, that kind of stuff. So very fair point. If you're watching all of that, swap out the honey for something more body friendly, and hopefully it tastes good. There's 0 calories, well, not 0 calories, there's very little calories in vodka and tequila, by the way. So if you're trying to lose weight, tequila is your one.
All right. Perfect. Sorry, I interrupted you. Carry on.
No worries. So this, I'm going to measure, this is double and a single. So if you have a shot glass at home, that's one, you're going to use 2 shot glasses of alcohol, because why would you have a single if you're making a drink? You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely going to mess a little bit here, but whatever. Yeah, not much. If you do this at home after half an hour, you should really see the smell, because rooibos says, it smells like home for me, like the Hardy-Dar sound. So you should really it really is very nice. And then this is just tea. So rooibos tea. I took the same tea bag from the vodka and I put it in hot water. Again, I don't know how long. Nothing too scientific. So again, I'll do a double of that. And that's about it, really. So now I'm gonna stir. I don't know if you can see nicely, but everything's in there. Not too shabby, eh, Nige?
It's an old school CTM advert reference there.
Do we have to explain that? What is your audience like, my friend?
Well, I don't.
Cool. So I'm going to give this a go. As I said, shaking, sitting down, it's not something I normally do.
No, it looks good.
But also just understand, like with this, if you've got a protein shaker or anything you can close, you just put ice inside and shake it. This is, I'm fortunate that my industry we're allowed to get this, but you can get it from anywhere. You can get it from your Habibi if you want. So I don't know if there's any bartenders are listening, but if not, see that foam on top. So when you shake it, all you do is you dilute the ice dilutes and breaks a bit, which is amazing. And then it so you don't just have alcohol and fruit juice; it just brings it all together. Boom. This is where I'm going to be a little bit fancy and give you a nice little glass. But again, you can pour it over ice if you want. It depends what you have. If you're in the bush and you have it in a hip flask, why not?
If not, why not?
If not, why not? Keep it cold. That's all you have to do. How's that color?
It reminds me of an Eagles song, Tequila Sunrise.
Hey, that's an actual drink, man. It's
is it a
horrible.
drink? All right. That's just the
What
color
they
that
do
I
is
got
they
there.
use the grenadine in the bottom because
Ah.
sugar is at the bottom, and then it looks like a sunrise.
Okay.
I'm not going to clean up now because I don't feel like it. And then on the top, like normally what we do is like we'll take the skin of an orange, but obviously a nachi in this way. Nachis aren't the best for this, but we'll try it anyway. And it's not going to look good, but there's obviously all the oils inside.
Mm-hmm.
So you just squirt it on top. Why we put it on the bottom is not to look cool, but actually when you hold the glass, it gets on your fingers. And then when you're talking and moving around, it's all around your face. So you kind of smell the drink before you drink it. And with that being said,
Some
here's
bush
to you,
bartender
man.
tips. Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Tastes horrendous. Don't try this at home. I'm joking. It's all right.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's yeah. So ingredients: you need some nachi, lime, vodka, rooibos, and some honey.
Sweetener, yeah. So stevia or yeah, depending on what you want.
Brilliant. Thank you.
And that's it.
Yeah,
No
I mean that was great. We got a triple whammy there. I got to connect with an old mate. We got some decent music, brilliant music, not decent. Sorry, it's the wine talking. Sorry, and and we got to experience a bush vodka. What are you going to call that, Ray?
I'm gonna call this Peter's Delight.